Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services.
Boss Talk Radio, keeping it real, yeah, that's for sure. I said a Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
He gon' fix your situation like there ain't no time for wasting. We ain't playing when we saying
He the boss.
And if you ever have a problem, he gon' show you how to solve it. Listen in and he'll show you he the boss.
Talk Radio.
Here's your host, the sexy tax expert, George Sanders.
Boss Talk Radio, here for your needs, we'll crack the code. He the boss.
What's good, family? What's good? Welcome to another episode of Boss Talk Radio. We are in season 4. Can y'all believe that? Yes, season 4. And as we're closing out this thing called 2022, we're going to make it do what it do, keeping the guests hot and giving you guys information. And today's episode, is the power in the plug. I'm noticing some disturbing stuff out here in these entrepreneur streets, and you know, we gonna talk about it, especially when we get to this 5 minutes of fire segment. Y'all gonna have to catch this work, because so my New Year's resolution is I'm gonna leave all the petty behind and try to keep this thing real clean, like, right? But I'm seeing some foolishness out here, and so let's start with this. We're gonna talk about this 7 streams of income, because y'all don't seem to understand how streams flow into a river, or, you know, that big water source flows out. Y'all got all kind of foolishness going on in these man-made lakes, but we're going to talk about that too. And then, hey, look, you know, if you're going to work a job. If you're going to have a business, work a business. But having 2 jobs, 4 side hustles, and trying to do a business at the same time, none of that is getting the best of you, you know, and I get it. Everybody, you know, have their own risk tolerance level. But look, there's only 100% of you. So you can only allocate so much of you to different things. So anything you give your time to, you only get 24 hours in a day, no matter how good you're at multitasking. You have to consider where you want to put that priority or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with whichever one you choose. You just can't choose all 10 of them, because, you know, then you kind of look like crazy, like, you know, what you're doing is crazy. So anyway, today we have on the show the host from the new podcast, Entrepreneurshit Happens. I was honored to be on their show, and they really keep it popping over there. So I had to bring them on over here for you guys to check them out. Welcome to the show. First and foremost, Miss Do Everything. Look, I was reading your bio and I was like, ooh, I'm tired. I can't do it over there. Welcome to the show, Miss Marlene, everybody.
Hey, thank you.
And then we have the other founder and host, Mr. Castor Troy. You know, when I first saw your name online, my favorite movie came to mind, and I thought, right? Oh, he about tearing some shit up.
I know, right?
He blowing it up around here. So, welcome to the show, guys. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good. Just getting ready for the holidays.
Shit, man. I see you got to look all the Amazon boxes back there. Look like you got to do some gift wrapping. Somebody gonna have a Merry Christmas.
Like she got her own distribution center, right?
Right, and you probably like me, like you ain't got started yet, huh?
Bruh, I got a butt naked tree. I'm struggling.
Look, I got the tree up and halfway decorated. I'm gonna go on and finish that thing tonight, and just drop this credit card off to my wife, and
hey,
you
know, just leave the card, man. Put a card on file.
She have the patience for
only the top box is gifts for my daughter, and she doesn't know. I stashed them up there. The rest of the boxes are for somebody that moved out. They gotta come back and get their stuff.
It's still like a distribution center, right?
We believe you.
Exactly right.
Look like a whole lot of Black Friday going on
Exactly.
over there.
Look like she
I
signed
did
up
do
for
some
UPS,
Black Friday
right?
shopping. I did.
Right. So clearly business been good for you.
Exactly right. You can tell who popping.
You know what I'm saying?
It's been all right. It's been all right.
It's been all right.
Everybody else have boxes around the tree. She got them
Exactly,
stacked
right.
all the way to the ceiling.
Too funny.
I ain't mad at you though. Long as my tree don't look like that when my wife finished.
That's true.
So for those that don't already know, you guys have been exposed to Entrepreneurshit Happens. Tell them a little bit about yourselves and about the show.
All right. Well, I'm Marlene, Tamara Marlene. I like Joy said, I do a lot. I've been a plus model, which I am going to start back into. I have my primary is I'm a brand strategist and graphic designer. And through creating that business, I learned a lot. It took me a long time to find resources. So I created Entrepreneur Life Apparel to not only celebrate entrepreneurship, but also to help be a resource. And through that, I wanted to do a podcast. And so last year I got motivated to do it, and I put a call out to see who would be my co-host because I didn't want to do it by myself. And David jumped at the chance, and I thought having the male-female dynamic would work. I also paint. I'm a creative all around. I just got done this week painting 7 paintings. So I do a lot. And I'm also a single mom of a 12-year-old. So the show Entrepreneurshit Happens is just that, telling the true part of the entrepreneurial journey. I felt like so many people highlight 6 figures, 7 figures, 7 streams of income, but they don't really tell you the behind the scenes, what it really takes to do that. They don't give you the information. And like I told somebody one time, some of these shows, they always got the millionaires on there and the billionaires on there. Put 1,000 there on there for me. I want to see somebody that's closer to something I can attain first before I get there. Not to say that I don't want to hear from the millionaires and stuff, but let me hear from somebody closer to where I am. So it's just about giving information, telling the true story of entrepreneurship, no holds barred. So some people may think the name is crass, but hey, we've still had preachers and Christians come on, and we talk about God and everything. So I mean, that's not a problem either. So that's the show. Castor.
Yeah, Castor Troy. I pretty much got my beginning going through. I started out like in wireless corporate America, but then was able to transition out because I had a friend that started a liturgical dance magazine, and she was like, "Yo, I know you can write," because I've been like a writer forever, and she was like, "Yo, I know you can write. Why don't you come edit my magazine? It's a digital magazine." I'm like, "Cool, it's not show up in the office and nothing like that, and we could do this. We put on conventions, put on different events throughout the year." And I was like, fine, I can handle that. And then, but I was still doing my freelance writing on the side, and it's been pretty cool. As far as I have a 10 and a 9-year-old, so I definitely understand, that parental balance with time and working and everything is kind of crazy too. So we somehow me and T work out really good because we have pretty much our lives mirror each other so well. And we really bounce off each other so well. So, yeah, it's definitely all love on our show. So you got to stay tuned and get ready.
And I am a writer as well. So because of Castor Troy, I actually this year published my poetry book that I had been holding on to for 20 years. 2 people were supposed to help me years ago, and it never came to fruition. And I finally did it. So, yeah. That's us.
Okay, you have to drop that link in the chat so I can put it on the screen.
Yeah, man. It's fire.
So we can get that out there because poetry is the thing, And y'all hit so many points that I kind of want to get into on this thing. So right from the door, like first and foremost, I don't think creatives get enough respect. And I'm saying that because I'm not one. And every time I need some stuff, you know, I have to find one of y'all that can translate what's in here into what the eye can see, because I know what I kind of want to see, but the mechanics and the aesthetics of it all, that ain't my thing.
Mhm.
And so, first of all, congratulations on that. Give yourselves a round of applause for
Thank
being super creative. And the premise of your show, really is a lot like Boss Talk Radio, telling the journey of how to get from here to there, because the internet sensation thing is, hey, we're going to talk about, everybody wants to see the end result. Nobody wants to really talk about that part where they go through that thing and what ends up happening. The only thing worse than misinformation is missing information. And people run out with these TikTok sound bites and everything and find themselves in a whole lot of trouble in a short period of time because they realize they're over their head. And the other thing, man, congrats on that dynamic, because in my fourth season, I can tell you, man, sometimes this thing is fun and sometimes this thing is work.
Yeah.
And
I'm learning that.
give respect and props to the type of content creators like places like the Breakfast Club and stuff like that, where they got to be on every day. Like
Right.
every day. I'm like, man, like at one point I had to like break up sessions because the show was running too long, and then I had committed to a session running every day to find out how much work that was. So for the first time ever, we're actually doing pre-records, because I've seen everybody else doing the editing thing and the thumbnail. I ain't about to do none of that. It's like, we're going to hit this thing live. We're going to make it do what it do, let the audience engage. So the downside of, the pre-record obviously is, we don't get to interact with the audience right then. So I encourage you guys, once it does air, to come back on and talk to the audience a bit or whatever. But it also makes it easier to be flexible. Like case in point, trying to get you guys on, we had to reschedule 2 or 3 times, because it was 3 of us. One day I was sick, one day you got busy, and so it gave me a lot more flexibility. And you said something that's very interesting. Uh, and if I know you were going to say that, I would have had her set up to come on, because I'm actually launching a new podcast right after the first of the year. And I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all right now, this ain't about entrepreneurship. And if you have an issue with their title, Entrepreneurshit Happens, being quote unquote crash, this ain't what you want.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Woo! Shout out to Erica Sunshine. But so what do you guys have coming up next in the new year?
Well, we hope to actually try to do a couple events, either hosting, co-hosting a couple events, because again, want to use the whole umbrella of entrepreneurial life as a gateway to help people get connected to the information. So definitely that's something that we want to do. Of course, next year will be our second season, so more shows, and hopefully we'll be able to kick off the Entrepreneurial Life magazine to coincide with everything as well. So just branching out, doing more shows and getting more people, get equipment, because we just jumped in there. We jumped in there like that. So I'm just happy that people are listening. You know what I'm saying? Spotify sent out our stats for the year, and I was like really surprised. So people are listening, and we definitely appreciate it, because we just jumped out there It was just something on my heart that I wanted to do. So you get, like you said before, you get tired of so much misinformation and missing information. It took me at least 10 years as a graphic designer to truly get all the information I needed to have my business set up with like things like a DUNS number and things of that nature. And I went to the SBA twice in 2 different states, and they said there was nothing for me. There was nothing there for me. So you can't, a lot of people say, oh, go to SBA. It doesn't always work like that. So what else, what other resources can you tell me? So, but that's basically it. The events and more shows and just pushing it out there more.
You know, you gave a very powerful tip, and I don't want it to go over people's head. You like, well, yeah, we got to get this and get this because we just jumped out there. So let me address the Fixin' To tribe. These are those, the I'm about to tribe, you know, the I'm about to do this and about 2023 gonna be my year. No, it ain't. You ain't done nothing, and you ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna be your year. It's gonna be a new year, same result. You gotta just start. So a lot of times, like, quick case in point, you mentioned you went to the SBA. There was nothing there. You went to another SBA. There was nothing there. And the thing about that is like, what people have to understand on this journey is nobody is investing in you before you invest in yourself, before you show some proof of concept to get this thing. Yeah, well, somebody might, like your mama might love you like that or whatever. I ain't giving you no money. I don't think none of y'all giving nobody no money when they just come with that. Like, I want to do a t-shirt line. Like, well, where's your t-shirts? You know, I need money for a concept or design, and get away. You know, so you gotta, you know, I noticed, I don't know if y'all kind of observed this, but I've noticed that the most successful people, for the most part, this is not an absolute, but the most successful people in business always have gone for broke and damn near broken before that thing turn around. You know, they always be like some actually become homeless, some be this close to homeless, you know, we threw it all out there. And if I think about like, okay, if that's the most successful ones that we see, what percentage does that even represent? How many people throw it all in there? It don't break. It don't, you know, come out the other side. And even for you younger generation folks that's out here that is caught up in what I call Insta success. That's the stuff y'all seeing on Instagram where, you know, everybody becomes an overnight success. Let me tell you something. Those is props.
Right.
Those are props. You get them down at Party City or get you a plug at the
Party City.
Huh?
Not Party City.
I'm saying these are props. You know,
there's no overnight success. There is none. There is none. If you reach,
here's the reality. Overnight success takes 10 years. That's how long it takes.
Exactly. I was gonna say that.
It takes 10 years. Now you're gonna have some success along the way.
That's a long night.
Alice, you know, that's a long night.
That's a long night.
Hey, think about it. Like, I remember when I first like really got wind and, you know, everything of like Kevin Hart, and I thought here was a cat that caught a lucky break and, you know, made the most of it. Then some of his old work started to get in front of me. I'm like, oh, okay, he been doing this thing for a minute. You know, most of us that have some real success is 10 years. And that's exciting to me because while I've been doing different businesses, you know, at different times, this is probably my longest running industry. Well, probably it is other than business development. And I'm in year 9. You know, we just finished 9 years in this thing where we technically, you know, headed into that 10th year, and I'm like, man, if 2022 becomes the worst year of the rest of my life, I'm going to be the happiest person on the planet. This was a phenomenal year for me, but
Right.
as you guys can attest to, you have to keep putting that one foot in front of the other. You got to keep moving through those hard days. When you don't make excuses, you make adjustments, and you do everything that you can, because when I tell people, when they say, well, I can't do this or I don't have that, I tell them, by the time you really do everything that you can and use everything you have, what you don't have and what you can't do will come before you. By the time you use all you can do. What has your story been like, past the not having that resource? How did you like buckle down and strap in and really get your thing going?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention before I answer that, I wanted to mention that some people need to think about, do you really want that overnight success? Because a lot of us ask for it, and when it comes, we're not ready for it. Do you have the things in place to be able to fill 1,000,000 orders? Do you have the things in place to, handle taxes for 100 people? Like, do you have the support around you and the team around you? Do you have the things that you need to bake 100 cakes? So you say you want overnight success, but you're not ready for it. You really aren't. We could look at examples of businesses that used to be on Oprah's favorite things list, and their stuff just blew out of proportion, where they had to either go out of business or scale back. So that's one thing that people have to keep in mind as well.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The worst failure you can have is success that you're not prepared for.
Okay.
That's the worst. That's the worst failure ever, is a success you're not prepared for, because most failures you have, they're in private, you're in silence. But when you have that success you're not prepared for, it can damage the brand irreparably, and everything. So yeah, and it's loud. That failure is loud because everybody's gonna talk about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I seen this one company, the HBCU company. They had issues with deliveries from last Christmas, and one of them is doing a teaching session, a coaching session, and I saw on Facebook, people on the ad, people were like, well, did you ever send out shirts? Like, they didn't let that go, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of tarnished their brand, so definitely it follows you. But as far as pushing through and getting the information, thankfully, I found different Facebook groups, Black-owned Facebook groups, where we actually believe it or not, we actually gave each other information. You know what I'm saying? And I was able to get some clients through that. I was able to have a mentor through that who helped me elevate my game as a graphic designer. And so those things came along, and my business elevated. And even now, my graphic design business is actually 18 years old. So it was a side hustle at first, and in 2016 became a full-time business. But even now, this year has been the best year out of all the years. Even some of my old clients, some of my clients that I've had from about 10 years ago are still with me. And they're like, one of them wanted some information. She was like, I just got to let you know that I see the professionalism. I see the change. And it's really like, she see that I went to the next level. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, you're always going to find that people in general want other people to be successful, because people want to do business with successful people. There's just this part in between there where everybody don't want to go through the growth with you, and the ones that do is truly a blessing. I want to get Castor's opinion on something, or his observation on something that T mentioned. She talked about the Black Facebook groups where she was able to have information shared across the board, find mentors, and even get business and things of that nature. And I've been a part of some groups like that as well. But let me ask you this. Do you think that there's a pitfall or a really like negative thing that comes out of the expectation of that? Because what I found as I came into more and more and more information and execution and everything is that the thing that really separates me from most in my field is I'm not the copy paste guy. I'm going to pay for the education. I'm going to pay for the resources that I need. And now on the flip side, that means I can't, take the picture on the private jet, or whatever, because I'm spending this money over here, like when my wife saw my P&L closing out of last month, she's like, y'all had spent 30K on education this year? Like, damn, did I? I was like, well, it wasn't exactly the budget. What had happened was, and then I started, but the end of that is I'm at a point now where those people that are in those next rooms see that, oh, he really knows his stuff and put it, so they pulling me into these rooms. But do you find that there's a downside on with newer entrepreneurs or business owners having that expectation to be able to show up in a Facebook group or other social media group and think they're just going to get the blueprint to success for free and run away and accomplish millions?
Well, see, this is the thing. There's a lot of people who they look for that magic bean, that magic pill, whatever, and then they have these so-called mentors who probably had as much experience as they do, but they can present it in a certain way. So they'll get all inspired, and their mentors will be like, "Hey, you got to go out and be consistent and execute." And with little information, little experience, and then, but what they'll do is they'll go like YouTube or something else, or maybe some kind of resource, some really bad situation, and then they'll go and they'll try and execute and be consistent because their heart is in the right place, their mind is in the right place, but they're not. They don't really have any true leadership. So what they'll go out and they've gotten inspired these master classes. They put their money down. They got the investment in, and so they go in and like, oh man, I'm ready after the boot camp or whatever. I'm ready, and then they run in there and they go, okay, well, I'm gonna put out me a bundle on the course and stuff like that, and it's a hot mess. So then all you're doing is recycling in whatever industry these terrible mentors, because not everybody got the sauce. Not everybody have the information that's real and true and tried, because everybody's like you said, an instant success. So they're going in and they're saying, hey, I can get it popping. I can do this, Hey, you want to start a rental car business. You want to start a tax business. You want to do this. Okay, these 3 steps will get you to that point. But it's like instead of 1, 2, 3, they missed the 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. They missed those parts. And I think that's the gist of what we do in our podcast. We show you the whole outline. We just don't say, okay, 1, go get IDs, EINs and tax IDs and all that. And then 2, get you a big bank account because you're gonna have a lot of money next week. It's not like that. You gotta, so it's crazy. So that's why you have to do your due diligence and do your research on people that you follow and invest in, and realize it might be they're probably in the same way you are, but they just have maybe a few more resources, but their experience level, their mindset, everything else, y'all might be in the same boat. So you need to be careful and do your research and what may happen in those situations, and do your research on the Facebook groups too, because some of those admins they do stuff. Some of them they be creating groups just to be, I guess some of them be all in their emotions too. They be like, oh, I'm gonna just start a group.
Power tripping.
Something. I don't like the way the other groups had going on, and I'm gonna just start a group, and we're gonna talk about everything they don't talk about, and then they get a following. But you following, it's like Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles over there doing stuff. Like we can't do that.
I think it's also we have two spectrums, two different sides of the spectrum. You have a lot of people in some of the Facebook groups that want everything for free. They don't want to pay for anything. They want to barter. Now, there's nothing wrong with bartering if it's done the right way. Sometimes some people are doing it to just get over and get free stuff. And then we have the other people on the other end. And then you have people on the other end that are willing to spend the money, but they're in every course. They're paying every coach. They're doing it's like if you take one more course, they haven't executed. That's the problem. And I find that in some groups too. They may tell you the steps, but like David said, they don't actually help you execute those steps. It's like you take the class and then you get off and nobody does anything with it. You know what I'm saying? Because there was steps missing in that instruction. So I just feel like we got those two different ends of the spectrum. People that don't want to pay and people that do, but they don't actually execute.
Yeah. And you out $5,000.
I'm a weigh in on all of that right now. I wasn't gonna even do it this early, but y'all set it up so nicely that I don't have a choice but to go in. We're gonna keep it hot the whole 1 thou wow. Because let me tell you something, most of the stuff you get for free is just that. I'm about to piss some people off because I'm going to give you this thing called the truth. So here's how this thing working. And it ain't new. If you go back and I can only go back as far as I can go back. So you go back to about the early mid 80s, there used to be these late night infomercials. Understand that the game don't really change, just the delivery methods on this thing. So it used to be these infomercials, and these infomercials would have these courses that would be only $99 or only $149. And I don't care if it was real estate or whatever the case may be, it was always something at a low price point that promised you could get in and retire within 2 or 3 years, and you could do this or that and the other with no money down and da-da-da-da-da. And then you always have, because this conversation still happens, I don't know why, but it evolved a little bit. It used to be the opportunity. Can I tell you about an opportunity? And now they're telling you to, would you be interested in making more money if you didn't have to do this, that, or the third? Let me tell you how something. The game is the same. It doesn't change. Just the delivery method. You know what I'm saying? Like you used to have Domino's tell you 30 minutes or less or whatever. You ain't heard that commercial in a long time. You know what I'm saying? But the delivery methods have changed because now you could get that same pizza from Uber Eats or whatever, right? So pay attention to what I'm saying right now because it's about to piss a lot of people off.
Uh-oh.
Most of your conferences and this is that and the other is really just a pitch from the stage. You pay one price to go see a group of people pitch this idea to you, this next level thing at another price, right? This is what they do. And then you buy that thing and you find out that there's really not no potatoes on that plate. There's not a whole lot of meat on that plate. It's just some skinny bacon or some, mostly bones, And this is what we're talking about, the how-to. Now, you have to take into consideration how much a how-to costs. Because one thing you never go see for me is something for free because I didn't get any of this for free. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, there's a few people that can pick up the phone, or if we, been going kind of back and forth for some time, I see you, I like what you're doing, they can call me and they get a little bit of free game or whatever. Execution ain't free now, and I don't ever think that. But moral of the story is when you looking for everything for free, only to be able to kind of repackage and repurpose it and then try to go out and make money off of it, guess what? Just like you didn't get all the information, you're not giving all of the information. And now you're putting holes in your brand out there, draws looking like Swiss cheese, trying to charge the prime price for, the thin slice. Come on, man. You have to bring value into the market at what you do. And this ain't just for people that's out, because I'm talking right now to the people that's buying up all the courses and have no execution. One reason you don't have no execution is because at the end of that course, you're stuck. You don't know what you're supposed to do.
You got no direction.
Okay. You had that one line that clicked in your mind and it motivated you and you ran out. They're like, hey, I'm about to be rich. Well, your purpose is wrong. If you in this thing, whatever thing that thing is, and your objective is to get rich, let me tell you something. Chasing the money ain't gonna never work. You're gonna get tired because you're never gonna catch it. It's never gonna be enough. So find a purpose and execute in that. And I'm telling you, the rest is gonna come. Now, of course, you have to invest in yourself or whatever, but make a quality investment. You see somebody you think you like something they offering this training or whatever. See if you can figure out where they learned it from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, shameless plug. Like we were supposed to drop a course for Cyber Monday, right? And if you notice, it just quietly went away because I got to doing that thing and I was like, I don't like it. I want to put more meat on the bone. Right. So it's still coming to you. You probably will be this Monday, but instead of running it for 2 or 3 days, we're going to run it through a few weeks. Now, here's the thing. When we run that special for those 3 weeks or so, after that, it's going to be the regular price, but at the regular price, it's still a whole lot of value. She mentioned something earlier. She said this thing about when you guys want success and you're not ready for it. Well, I'm going to call you out because this is what it is. You don't want success. You want fame. And that's why you're not ready for the success, because you want fame. You want to be heard. You want to be looked at. You want to stun on them names. That's what you want to do. And that's why it ain't working for you. You want to shine before you grind. You don't work like that. It'll never work like that. Like I said, the people that's the most successful, they be at that thing for years. T said her graphic business is 18 years old, and I'm plugged in and I ain't find out about it till 2 years ago, so I'm telling y'all, it takes a constant, ongoing, the measure. You want to have some measurable growth that you can identify, so when you get a little tired, you can look back on how much you've grown, and it gives you enough to keep going. You want to have measurable growth. That boom success, that's a fallacy. That's all in your mind. So stop going to these, wonder conferences, these Insta conferences and everything, because you're not going to get it there. All you're going to get is some extrinsic motivation that's going to have your head hyped up long enough to get home and find out that you don't know anything.
Right.
I wasn't going to speak today, but y'all asked me for y'all with
Amen.
And one thing, that I notice in a lot of groups, and it drives me crazy, is that someone come in and say, hey, how do I get started as a truck driver? Or how do I or in the craft groups, they'll say, hey, I bought my machine and some vinyl. How do I do some t-shirts? Or I got an order to do a shirt. How do I do this? We don't research. And like you said, if it's not your purpose, you chasing the bag, people, especially around tax time, so many people jump into doing taxes, but it's like, that's not how you do it. they haven't researched what it really
Trying to get me
takes
started
behind
again,
the
huh?
scenes.
I said, you trying to get me started again, huh?
They don't research behind the scenes all the other pieces of it, what it costs to do, that people want to do vending machine businesses. Yeah, but you have costs with that as well. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to look at the whole picture. That's why when I teach the subscription box class, I tell you everything that you have to think about. And my students are like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. You know what I'm saying? Because you could either outsource or you're going to produce it yourself. Well, if you produce it yourself, you got to get the materials. Or if you outsource, you got to check the timing. You know what I'm saying? It's all different levels to the game. And then, so people do that. And then I was going to also say that I had somebody tell me that they kind of didn't like that as a friend. I was going to charge them to give some information. It was only going to be $50, but they're like, oh, well, I freely just give information. I'm by no means a gatekeeper. If you follow my page, I give out information all the time. But if we got to go into detail, you're going to pay me for my time. Yeah, I might have gotten the information free, but it took me 18 years to gain that knowledge and experience. And I did the research that you are paying me to tell you about. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole purpose there. So I was like, so we kind of had a disagreement there because I'm like, you got to pay me for my knowledge and my time, and people do that all the time trying to pick your brain. So like you said, you got to invest in yourself and be real about the whole thing.
I have a pick my brain fee.
Yeah.
You pick my brain, and somebody managed to find this the other day, and they actually booked it. I thought my web designer had taken it off, but because I used to have a free 15-minute consult or whatever, And then when I figured out a couple things, it was like I had a few people book multiple 15-minute consults or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is what we doing. Okay, so we're gonna spend this $100 for 30 minutes. And it does two things. Number one, you can, really air out what you're trying to get done. And then I can really import some value in you, while at the same time challenge your paradigm as to whether or not you're serious about whatever you're trying to do. And like tax time, everybody want to go into the tax business. And you've been following me for a while. I always tell people, most of them do it for the income. I do it for the outcome. We don't have the same type of clients. That's why they're like, why do you give so much of this and do something? These people not my competition. You have to understand what success looks like for you. There's some people that might have got into taxes last year and made more money than me that year or whatever, but I don't define my success by that money. Like, you can make 50 grand in 4 months, or you can make 100 grand in 4 months. Well, let's break that down a minute. If you don't know nothing about taxes, that means all you really can do is personal taxes for someone who has no business, no side hustles, none of that, because you can't provide them value. Right. And so you're really just a data entry clerk, hopefully you have some commercial software, and you charging people maybe $300, $400, or if you're abusive, maybe $500. And all they're doing is earning a W-2. Those are the people that should actually be on TurboTax, but you're in the W-2 with your child's social security number, and you always know who the people are because they promise the gimmicks. We're gonna give you the max. We're gonna think about that marketing campaign. Just let it marinate, And so if you're charging $500, that's a little abusive, but let's just say that's where you're at. How many people does it take for you to get 50 grand? 100 grand? People make the assumption that, well, hey, I know a lot of people. I got a lot of family and friends. Let me tell you something. Your real friends and your family don't want you up under their skirt like that. They ain't doing it right away. You got to be for years before they come rocking with you, because They over here saying, they don't want you to know they're in trouble. They don't want you to know they got a problem. Because that tax return is like the financial health report.
Right.
And they don't want you looking at their poor health, like that. So, which probably wouldn't matter because you probably don't know how to read a return anyway, because you just jumped into this thing. But what I'm saying is, if you have to do 100 returns or whatever to make $50,000 or whatever, I don't even think that's 50,000. Is that 50,000? That might be. I don't know. I'm tired. But the story is that's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's 50,000.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Right.
A lot of work.
By yourself.
I don't know if people know that's really a lot of. That's 100 different personalities. That's 100 different. Well, where's my refund? Have you heard from the government yet? What's going on? Why they? That's a lot of work.
It is.
I don't work that hard.
I found 2 more kids.
I don't work that hard. People be like, they talk to me in January, they be like, "Oh, you about to be busy?" No, I'm not. I don't get busy till March. My client's different. I'm busy in March and April to about mid-May. Then I get busy again when school start back up after the summer or whatever. My client's different. They're like, well, he must do a whole lot of tax returns. The hell? I ain't doing a whole lot of tax returns. I don't want to do a whole lot of tax returns. Most of my clients are business owners. The other tax returns I'm doing maybe they're employees or something like that, but for the most part, there's business owners. So in this return, we're probably doing their payroll and their bookkeeping and some VCFO work and some coaching. And my client's different. I ain't had 100 clients in a single year since I've been in business. And I love it. But it's because of the next level of knowledge, I can give them some value so they can pay me what they pay me because they ain't paying me $500.
Right. And that's when people were chasing the bag. You know what I'm saying? You see people say, well, if you want 50,000 a year, that breaks down to $100 a day. And for some people that does motivate, but you don't want to break it down like that. I even went through a transition last year where I decided, because there was a point in time where I was taking any client and every client, didn't matter, you know what I'm saying? And that put added stress on me. So I actually came back last year. I took a 2-year break. I came back and was like, look, I'm going to break this down where I take less clients, but the packages have more value and they're more expensive. And that worked, you know what I'm saying? So it was less stress on me. And so you got to figure that out. Okay, fine. You want 100 clients, but like you said, that's a lot of work and a lot of personalities. I'd rather have one client a month pay me, $3, $5, $6 grand and I'd be set. You know what I'm saying? So it, like you say, it's a different perspective, a different mindset.
Yeah. And, that challenge is the insta success thing that everybody wants, and I get tax practitioners call me and like, well, how much do you charge for this? I don't. What do you mean? I don't even do that. That's not what I do. And they're like, well, how you did this? Well, yeah, I spent this $8 grand over here to learn this, and now I charge 15 grand per client for it. Like you charge 15, yeah, but they are happy because they're getting a couple $100,000 value for that 15 grand. See, and you don't know how to do execution over here, and that's what you're missing. You're looking for that quick dollar. Man, look, I just got to a point in life, I don't want to work that hard. But now let me say this for the person that's starting out. When you're starting out, you may have to take every client you can get. That does 2 things. Number 1, it makes you respect your own craft because you realize how hard that thing is. Number 2, it gives you experience. This game is giving you out. Number 2, it gives you experience with different types of client so you can identify the type of client you really want to work with. Right. And then lastly, it allows you to master your particular craft. Now, you still might not know nothing about business, but at least you know how to deliver your product or service. And then you come talk to somebody like me about putting that thing in place, for you to be able to make data-driven decisions. That's in the course, by the way. But, that's what that thing is all about. Like I seen, well, because the thing is, I see all of these courses, and most of these courses I see is more about how to fast than how to. Would you agree with that?
Right.
And how to sustain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And my courses is not even really about a how to at all. It's really just teaching you. It covers reading financial statements, how to properly form a business. Because how many times y'all have been online and y'all have been in these groups and people trying to sound like a guru, and they just give people that thing all wrong. Go get your EIN and then form your LLC and then put the LLC in the trust and then open a bank account. And I'll be like, oh my God. And then I have 40,000 likes in like an hour. I'm like, wow.
Right.
Like y'all choosing misinformation at that point. Like it's too easy.
Right.
So let's
haven't done no research on their name, on the business. I've seen that too. They got to get a whole redesign because somebody else already has it.
Right. They done got an EIN and find out somebody got the same name of that business in their state. Like, come on, man. So and it ain't, the thing is that it costs you more money and more time to not research and to not work with professionals. And there's that other thing too. People are caught in this do-it-yourself frame of mind, to save money. And I see people in groups say it all the time, like, yeah, don't pay somebody to form your LLC. You could do that yourself in 30 minutes.
I hate that.
Website. And I'll just go in and I'll watch the hundreds of incorrect comments and I'll be like, so where's your operating agreement? Huh? Oh, this is why you pay a professional. It's more than those 3 documents, so that do-it-yourself thing, let me tell you something. Like if I need a graphic design done, places like QuickBooks promote do-it-yourself because it's easier to get money from a whole bunch of everybody to try to do something they don't understand than it is to get a big dollar from us professionals that do it. So Canva. Now, from what I'm told, I'm clearly a tech tart because everybody can do Canva except for me. But here's the reality. If I want a graphic, the learning curve for me to get on and master Canva and represent my brand efficiently, man, who got time for that? I could be making money while I'm doing that. I can make enough money, and the time it's going to take me to learn that, I can make enough money to pay T to do that. I'm just saying.
I teach a Canva course. And that's the thing is, and some people do, but what I explain to them though, you still need to do your research as far as visual aspects and stuff, because everybody and their mama now is calling themselves a graphic designer because of Canva, because it's so easy and because they're using templates. Well, when it comes to actual branding yourself, branding your business, you don't want cookie cutter template. You want something creative, something fresh, something new. So like you can make a logo on Canva. Well, there's a caveat to that. You can't use certain things. If you read there, it's not even fine print. If you read on their website, if you use the free account, you cannot use certain elements in your logo. You know what I'm saying? So people don't pay attention to that. And now it's like you go online and everybody got this circle logo. And it's like, okay, they did it on Canva. Vistaprint used to be the same way. Everybody had the same business card. Because my thing is that their library is limited. The number of people in the world, in the country, outweighs how many people are in, how many templates they have. So there's going to be somebody that has the same thing that you have. So that's another reason why you want to go ahead and get a professional. And I see people jumping on the Canva wagon and their graphics look like shit. I wouldn't buy from you. You know what I'm saying? You just putting pictures, I wouldn't buy from you. You know what I'm saying? So there's still an element there that you need. Graphic design is an art. I have a degree. It's a associate in science. I have a degree in that. So there's things to that. So I teach people certain elements to how to maneuver in that. But yeah, not everybody can. So I have one student where she wasn't able to offline go ahead and jump into it, but I did have somebody else that's doing journals and everything like that. You got to know what your strengths and weaknesses are.
And I'll tell you, I tell people this all the time, I'm the hardest person to work with when it comes to graphic design, because the first question you're going to ask me is, what do I want? And I have no idea. I can only tell you what the text should say. I'm not a visual creative person. And so when you come back with the Canva template and my words on there, no, you gotta do this. No, it's something I can't put my finger on or whatever. And depending on what it is, if it's not something that's significantly brand associated, I may let it fly. But for the most part, something ain't ringing authentic about this thing.
Right.
Can I drop another secret on y'all? Let me tell y'all something. Here's the other thing y'all don't know about these places that have the cheap templates that are promoting the do-it-yourself, right? And you want to know why you can get it on there for $10 and T is charging you $200, and you're trying to figure this thing out. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Information is the new currency. Let that marinate for a second.
It is.
Information is the new currency. Think about it. You have a tax software that's free. How does a tax software company that's free become a multi-million-dollar company? Think about that for a second. I'll wait.
Right.
Information is the new currency. How does a place that sells templates and they're selling them to all of these people, but they got all of these employees and all of this overhead, really become a multi-million-dollar company when their most expensive product is $10? How does a credit reporting or credit monitoring service give you free credit reporting or credit monitoring? Information is the new currency. They selling your information when you put your name, address, whatever, and then they're selling the use information. And people don't know how back in the day, Target was one of the first stores that did the smart adaptation or whatever, where they processed this data and used it to be able to market to you. Now this thing is so advanced, just in the general public. That's why when you have a conversation and a minute later you look on your phone and you got ads about the conversation you just had. Data is the new currency. You be like, is somebody listening to me? Hell yeah, somebody listening to me. They listening, they watching, they counting your keystrokes, they know how long you be on the internet and everything. There is no such thing as privacy. Everybody's competing for information because other people are buying it. Think about how Google makes money if everybody got a free Gmail and all of this. It's because they're a data mining company. That's all they do is gather and sell information. Yes, about you. So you got to think about that thing. And in the process, when you want something authentic, you got to pay a professional. Now, I learned this thing long time ago. I had a 1983 Cadillac Brougham, big body, 4-door, and had a part go out. My daddy's dumbass cousin's supposed to be, mechanic. He got me under the car looking for this wire while, it's on the jack, and he's doing something at the top. I don't know nothing about cars, so I really don't know what wire I'm looking for. And all of a sudden, the weight of this car is on my chest.
Wow.
Now, as you probably can imagine,
You was pissed.
I ain't working on no damn cars. I don't care what I know about a car. I gotta be broken and 10 steps past broke before I'm gonna pick up a wrench and open. Look, I'm gonna put gas in that thing and change the windshield wiper. Somebody was like, somebody made a post about well, a man needs to be able to change the flat and do this and do. Let me test something. There's certain things I'm just not gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna call AAA, and if they gonna take it, I'm gonna call Uber, get where I'm going, and call AAA coming back. And what I'm not doing is changing the tire right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, and no knock to nobody that does. It's just not worth my time to do that. You know, energy. Earlier, you paid me for my time. When you figure out in life that your time is the single most valuable thing that you own, you'll be a little bit more picky about how you use it, who you give it to, and what you do with it. You know, because at the end of the day, that's your wealth right there.
You're right. You're right. And I even pulled my I was going to do a big coaching class, and you said you pulled yours. I pulled mine as well. I'm gonna actually launch it next year on branding, a branding class.
Oh, that's a much needed a much needed situation, because somehow people mixed up branding with advertising with marketing. I don't know how we even got there. So, you know, but this is the link to T. Marlene's poetry jam. Let's show some support for all the free information she's always giving you guys online. You might find yourself uplifted, and might even find that you're gifted. It might inspire you to write something. What's the that's what I was meaning to get a minute ago. What is the link for the podcast?
1 second. I'm still working on the website. I'm bad. We're a 2-person team right now. So, but I will get the Spotify. 1 second. You know, when we were talking about information and doing things for the money, there was a young lady, a young graphic artist that I had to actually unfriend because she was doing logos for $5, or maybe it was $10. It was really inexpensive. Maybe even $25. It was really, really, really low. And she was pretty decent, but then she would go on rants about how nobody was hiring her, this, that, and the other. And so I reached out to her, you know, because like I said, she had some style, she had some potential, and I gave her some free information and everything. And I told her on her price list, she was charging more for a flyer than she was for a logo. If you know anything about branding, if you know anything about companies, these major companies pay thousands upon millions on their branding. That's because the value of that logo. So many people devalue that. And so once I gave her the information, she thanked me and everything. The next thing I saw, she did it again. She was selling it for dirt cheap. And I said, okay, you know what? You don't want to change your circumstances. You know, you're getting unemployment or disability, whatever, and you don't want to change your circumstances. So, okay. So I had to unfriend her because I need to be surrounded by people that want to go to that next level. You know what I'm saying?
I had a situation where one point I was looking for some brand strategy or something, and I talked to these 3 different companies, right? And I didn't end up hiring any of them because none of them were capable of hearing what I was saying. And it's like, how can you produce something for me if you don't understand the objective. So here's where they all dropped the ball. They all started with logo redesign. That was the first words that come out. So I come back and I'm like, yeah, no, we talk about a lot of different stuff, but logo redesign isn't one of them. They're like, well, we can touch up the logo to back there when I said, there's no change in the logo, you must not have understood, So when you come back a third time with changing the logo, and then I got to show you these trademark papers, and then I got to show you this tat on the arm. Because like, what part of we ain't changing the logo? You don't understand. Okay, you're clearly not.
I got mine too. Got mine too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're clearly not a brand strategist. You're trying to get some money, and that's probably usually the easiest entry point. I don't know, but it's not happening. Did you get that in there?
Yeah, it's coming. There you go.
All right.
Well, that's the thing is, I explain to people, I don't always, if somebody already has a logo established or branding established, I don't always go in about redoing everything because there's a cost to that. I want to, let's look at what you have and how we can make sure that it's speaking to your target audience. First of all, do you even know who your target audience is? Do you know your analytics? Who is actually watching your videos and liking and commenting? Who are these people and what are their tastes? And I tell people all the time on my lives, I'm like, there are companies that get paid for this type of information. You think that McDonald's just open up down the street all willy-nilly. No, they do research in the proper area and everything. We need to do that too. So as far as branding, if you have no logo, that's when I'm gonna do logo. But if you have a logo, I'll see if it needs improvement or not. But if you have an established brand, it's about making sure your brand is cohesive across the board because you want to make sure that you don't confuse your audience by, you say you luxury, but your branding look like, look like my daughter did it or something, So, and that's another problem too. Too many of us is calling our brands luxury and it's not. Simple is better. Look at, we use all the time, look at Nike. It's just a swoosh. Why does your logo have to have lashes on it just because you sell lashes? You know what I'm saying? And then you pigeonhole yourself because if you decide to do lashes and makeup, then you want to do a whole redesign. Well, why? If you had did just a generic name, that would have fit your whole thing, like Burlington Coat Factory. Now they're just Burlington, but that costs money to change that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people don't think about those things. So that's my thing.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a really, really good one. That was a good one because Burlington found themselves like, hey, we're carrying this. What is our issue connecting to the audience? They would be ready to go out of business in the summertime. And then there's somebody on the team or that they hired figured it out. It's like people think of us when they think of coats. So the fact that we have shorts and jeans and fragrances, they ain't coming in there for that. If they don't need a coat, they ain't coming.
Burlington had awesome home goods. We used to go there for home goods, So they had to make that change.
What they hoped was that you go there for a coat, you see the other stuff, and you come back. The problem is you went there for a coat. Now you don't need a coat for 2-3 years or whatever. So when you need whatever else they have, you don't think of it. You don't think of them as that provider of that particular service. Another good example of where a company spent millions. We watched this. Or maybe I'm telling my age. I don't know. But they spent millions. This was a multi-million-dollar mistake. I don't know who signed off on it, but Coca-Cola attempted to do a rebrand because they was feeling some pressure from Pepsi about that whole new generation thing. Coke was still top-selling product, but they was feeling some heat because Pepsi was on that ass on that new generation thing.
Pepsi got that fight.
Tried to do a rebrand and they sales tanked. Man, like the Titanic, it was, down goes Fraser. They tried to new brand with a new tasting product. Y'all remember this? They came with
vanilla coat.
Yeah, oh man, and they take turtle, and all it was like they changed like the little ribbon thing in the Coca-Cola to just say Coke or something like that. I forgot exactly how, whatever it was, the stock prices took a tumble, the sales took a tumble. It was a multi-million-dollar mistake, and they ultimately ended up going back to the original brand that they have, and now to this day, whenever you see, their logo or even a part of their logo, you just recognize it. That's the same with McDonald's. You just recognize it.
Gap changed their logo too, and they got so much flack from people, from their customers. They got so much flack, they changed it back.
Yeah, you have to be really careful. I mean, sometimes it makes sense, like in the case of Burlington. It made sense because the whole coat factory thing was part of their deal. And so they just dropped it off, Now, when you go past some of the stores, you'll still see that on there, but not none of the newer ones, But this is what I was trying to get that young lady or either one of those companies to understand. Like, I have people jumping on posts, get behind the shield and, stuff like, you think I'm about to change my brand? No, it's not going to happen. Next.
Right.
Let me get the link up here. I want you guys to check out Entrepreneurshit Happens, because it takes a community of us to bring these messages home, to give you these empowerment tools where we're not just, highlighting somebody that's at the top of their trade, because I'm gonna tell you another secret. Some of the best, you'll never know who they were if they're not on shows like this. You'll never see them, because they don't want the fame. They do what they do,
Right.
So I appreciate you guys coming sit in with us on there on this episode. I probably had too much fun. And I looked up at the time. I was like, "Oh, we went way over. They're gonna have to do some editing." But no, I had too much fun with you guys on this. Any last words for the audience?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that sums it up. Follow Entrepreneurshit Happens. Next year we'll be doing events and everything. I'm tied with my brand Entrepreneur Life. I'll be doing actual lives starting next year. I pushed it back to next year. Weekly lives, which will be separate from the podcast. The podcast talks about people's journey. The lives on Facebook will be actually people being experts and giving you expert information within 30 minutes. So totally different spectrums there, but it's all under my brand. So just follow, stick along, see what